Welcome to Legacy Rips, where every card has a story and every mistake is a lesson learned that gets you closer to your dream of being a sports collector. So, welcome, and today's is Should You Grade? And that's a question every single collector comes across at one point at the beginning of their journey is grading. And there's really two paths. There's for profit or for personal collection. What you don't want to fall into is that little gray areas like, I'm going to get it graded for my personal collection, but then when you get a 9 or an 8, you're brokenhearted like, man, that car should have been a 10 because intentionally that car was for profit, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it is really important that we decide what we want to do with the cars that we have. So let's think about it. What was the last card you graded, and why did you grade it? Was it for profit? Was it for a personal collection? Because the way you approach those are two different ways. So let's tackle the most important one first, for profit. And there's going to be three parts of that. Is who are you grading with? Is there going to be a profit in it? And how much is it going to cost you? You're going to ask yourself in any which way in order. First off, I always like to, can I turn a profit? So, for example, I'm a visual person. I happen to go open up a value box. In that value box, I pulled a Patrick Mahomes Uptown. Now, obviously, I'm going to want to make some money because that's a very huge card and everybody's going to want it. But the first thing I want to do, and this is where people get so excited, they get nervous, they're shaking like, oh my God, they're putting it on social media. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you do put it on social media, people are going to send you offers. They're going to, hey, I'll give you 200, 300. Some people are going to lowball you. But this is where you got to take a step back and enjoy the moment, feel the emotion, but don't do an impulsive thing. First decide profit or collection. If it's for a collection, hell yeah, post that. Go crazy and then put it up. Reason why? Because if it's going to go into your personal collection, all you have to do is put it in a one touch, store it in your little case, or however you store your personal collection, and save yourself some money. Because right now, with grading, it is kind of expensive. But if, in turn, you decide that, hey, I want to grade that card because potentially I do want to sell it, but at least for right now, I want to hold on to it, which is perfectly fine because I've done that. I've bought in cards, held on to them, and then, you know what? I think I'm just going to go ahead and sell it off now. It isn't doing nothing for me. I don't feel the same about that card. And then, you know what? At least I had it graded, and then I could turn a profit. And it happens to everybody. But if you're going to do for profit, I always say is do your due diligence. First thing you want to do is, has that card been graded before? Some cards have, especially the newer ones like the Resurgent, Topps Chrome, Flagship. A lot of those cards are brand new. NFL, it's going to be one of those things that, can you hold off on a card, see what they're going to be graded at, what are the gem rates and all that. All those are really important questions because you don't want to send a card in that it's really hard to get a PSA 10 and hard to get what you want to be able to, make a profit on. But at the same time, if it's a card that's already been established, has a high turnover, for a Gem 10, and then it's selling at $500 to $600, and then that's definitely a card that I would encourage you. Yes, put it in, get it graded, turn a profit, but at the same time, track it. Make sure you have a spreadsheet so you can track on what you're spending, how much the card cost you, how much the tier level PSA, Beckett, SGC, and what is it going to cost you. Track that, and then potentially make sure you know the value of that PSA 10 as is being graded. So, for example, my card is $625. It was what it last sold as a PSA 10. I spent $50 for it. So right now, I'm going to spend the $80. That's $130 already. Then if I sell it on eBay, that's at 30% fees. So right now, let's say I'm into that card $180, but as a PSA 10, it's selling at least between $550 and $675. So I'm already in the black. I'm gonna make more than $100 profit, which is where you kind of want to be, because you want to turn a profit if you're trying to run a business and try to be successful in doing your sports cards. So that just kind of what I started to do that works for me. Not and understand that it doesn't work for everybody, but that's just a little bit of how I manage, how I ask myself those questions. And then the last one that I always ensure people double check is look at the condition of the card. Me looking at this card, I'm looking at the corners, I'm looking at the surface. Are there any imperfections? Can I put it into the line? Is there any little dents? Are there any like roller marks? Is the centering? There's a lot of different apps. There's a lot of little ways you could check the centering. The centering's I already had this one looked over. I took it to a sports card shop yesterday. Had the owner look at it. He looked at it, did his little thing, put it in their little microscope that they have there, and they say, yeah, like the centering is great. There's a couple little surface stuff that you can easily wipe down. They wiped it down for me, did their little cleaning for me, cost me a little $10. They wiped it down, surfaced it, everything. So right now, I can literally put that into a graded case, everything, get it prepped and ready to send off to PSA, and knowing that there's a potential. But always remember is check the gem rate. I will post the website. Got to remember, I don't know at the top of my head. I have to Google it. But there is a site that you could type in the name of the card, and it will tell you what the gem rates are. Is it a 60, 70, 80% gem rate? Because that does factor in is the chances of you getting a PSA 10 in return. So it's always great to know the value of the card. Are you going to turn a profit? Are you going to be able to resell? Is there demand for it? But lastly, I always love to leave this is enjoy it. Don't dig yourself into a hole. The card is going to be worth something, especially Patrick Mahomes. His value is not going to go down. It's only going to go up. So in that case, I can sit on this if I'm not financially ready. If I don't have the extra $80 to send in. You don't want to put yourself into a bind to get it graded right now. Especially starting out, definitely avoid co-signing it and sending it to people that will sell it for you. Because like I say, you're then dipping into your profits and then you're having to pay out more on top of what you already spent for the card. So definitely enjoy the hobby. Don't put yourself in a bind. Don't dig yourself a hole. If sometime a deal seems too good to be true, and most of the time it is, I learned that the hard way. But always push back. Always ask questions. If you still have other questions about grading or what to grade, if should you grade, you know what? Send me a comment. Send me a message. I'll be more than happy to help anybody. I'm not here to say I'm an expert, but I've managed to turn a profit. The last couple of weeks, I managed to sell some pretty high cards. So we all start from somewhere, so don't be afraid to ask. And hopefully this video finds you, helps you to make that decision, and helps you to keep pushing yourself. Because every day you put a card out there, every day you make a choice, is one step closer to achieving your financial freedom. And that's what we're all here, is to be our own bosses, own our own business, and as I say, it's leaving a legacy behind. So see you next time.